Good evening, distinguished Wizards fans. I'm Sully.
I'm Raj.
And this is the Bullets Wizards podcast in the same room for the first time, which is pretty cool. We just set a camera right there, put a microphone on the table. I can shove him around. This is cool. Not having to just use, some weird, fake Zoom software to get our videos done. But, yeah, it's off-season time. And that's honestly one of my favorite times of the year to talk ball. Just the amount of changes that can happen, especially for a rebuilding team like us. The regular season ain't fun. The off season is a fun time for us, and yeah, definitely we're gonna talk about the Wizards draft lottery results recently.
So yeah, you guys probably know that the Wizards have the second overall pick and the 26th overall pick in the first round, and we're gonna go over the prospects we want to see and what they have in store for us. So that's what we're gonna go over today.
Yeah. So basically, it's gonna be a little bit of a mini draft preview episode, just the front runners for the second pick and the 26th pick, and just maybe we'll even address Barney James rumors. But yeah, it's gonna be a fun episode. But before we get too much into the meat and gravy of this episode, let's say hi to our friend, the Wizards cat. Also, this is not our first take. Don't think this is our first take for this intro. Nice to see the Wizards cat for the first time in a while. I've heard he's been doing pretty well. He's actually taking a trip to Paris to scout Rhys Haché. So more on Zachary Rhys Haché later. But yeah, a few weeks ago was the official NBA draft lottery, where all little Mark Tatum came out and opened up all the fancy envelopes. And yeah, Bilal Coulibaly was dripped out as a representative, and we matched our lottery odds. I mean, we were tied with the Pistons for the number one odds for the first pick, and we ended up getting the second pick. So the odds didn't screw us over too much, though. What happened to the Pistons?
So I was surprised. I was watching it live with Sully, and they said the fifth overall pick, the Detroit Pistons. And as soon as I heard that, I'm like, ooh, that's good for us, but I feel so bad for them. I mean, worst losing streak in NBA history, and you get the fifth pick.
I think this is this is the second or third season in a row, I believe, that the Pistons have had either the best, tied for the best odds for their number one pick, and they didn't get the first world pick. But it's been rough in Detroit. Even after getting Cade, it's been rough.
Yeah, but aside from Detroit, we sucked as well, and we got the second overall pick. But surprisingly, Atlanta got the first overall pick.
It's a huge jump. They were
super random.
They had a 3% chance, one of the lower odds in the lottery. And Atlanta didn't have a good season. They were on the fringe of the play-in race. Wasn't a bad season. They're kind of in a weird limbo. Honestly, the Hawks remind me of the Wizards a year or two ago. But they got really lucky and they got the first pick. But also, them getting the first pick makes it really confusing what's going to happen. Who's going to be available for the Wizards the second pick now? Who's Atlanta taking number one? Who do you think?
What the Hawks can do, I've seen rumors they might trade the first overall pick because they want to keep Trae Young, maybe trade Trae Young, build around Trae Young even more. Or maybe keep DeJounte Murray as their main point guard from now on. But there's a lot of things that Atlanta can do. But they could also just keep Alex Sarr and see how he plays with Trae Young and DeJounte. But if they don't select Alex Sarr and actually trade their pick somewhere else, there's a good chance the other team might pick Alex Sarr. But if they don't, we pick Alex Sarr. But if we don't, then it's this whole debacle of just who are we going to pick, because there's just so many options out there for us. It just decides on what Atlanta's going to do.
It's complicated, but my gut instinct is honestly telling me to go Sarr. I've heard people argue, they already have Emeka Okongwu, and I know they drafted Okongwu in the lottery a few years ago, but Okongwu is not. He has a good ceiling, but he's not good enough to ignore Sarr. Sarr can stretch the floor better, and it's just. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Rhys Haché, I think, is also in play just because he's he's a long three, and a long small forward can fit almost anywhere, and the Hawks could use that length in defense. I think he'd actually pair really nicely with DeJounte Murray, and I totally agree. The whole Trae Young DeJounte experiment in Atlanta has not worked out. First of all, trading 4 first-round picks for DeJounte was a really bad move in hindsight. But it has not panned out looking back. I definitely think what if Trae or DeJounte is going to get moved? Which one, I'm not sure, but if you want to move Trae, I say honestly, that's when you get Rhys Haché. But then if you move DeJounte, then I say get Sarr. Just because, I don't know, I just really like the Rhys Haché DeJounte pairing. But he definitely, I want Sarr at 2, but it's just him. Will he be available at 2? I don't know, but I think in all likelihood, even if the Hawks trade the pick, Sarr is kind of the clear runner to be number 1 with the small chance of it being Risa Shea. Like, every now and then you'll read a random article. It's like, oh, Klingon is going number 1. I'm like, Klingon's not going number 1. So, assuming Sarr goes number 1, who do you want the Wizards to take at number 2?
Well, for those who watched the last season, we're missing everything. We traded Gafford. I mean, we need a center and Donovan Klingon, but we also need an actual point guard and like Ron Hollander, like Rob Dillingham, Topic, all of them.
Stephon Castle has been floated around a lot.
Him
recently.
as well. And we saw after All-Star break, Brian Keefe started playing pool at point guard, and we saw point guard pool for a little bit, but I'm not comfortable with keeping him there as like our franchise point guard. Like we need like a Rob Dillingham or something. We also need a center. We just need. This could be our chance to find our franchise player, and I don't know.
I think we're in a position we can't be drafting based on position. Draft the best available.
Yeah.
The only thing is who is the best available is a huge question. Like, I know we need a center. We need everything. So.
Yeah.
There's no point drafting all based on, oh my god, is this going to affect Jordan Poole? I don't care how our draft pick affects Jordan Poole. But it's just, yeah, like, it is really open-ended whether would you want a Risa Shea who kind of overlaps with Bilal and Denny in many ways of what he does. And I think he has a similar ceiling to Bilal. But it's just, I don't know, is there too much overlap developing like 3 forwards that kind of play the same way? That's a debate with Risa Shea. Klingon, I think, has a really high floor, but then a lower ceiling than a lot of the other guys. Doesn't stretch the floor that much. Has good fundamentals to be a nice little shot blocker. And UConn, of course, knows how to coach up players. But I don't see him having, like, an all-NBA potential skill set just based on his lack of ability to stretch the floor and all that. And he's going to have to be, like, Rudy Gobert level defense to really, honestly, become a star. And then Stephon Castle's been floated around a lot, but his jumper needs a lot of work at the point guard spot. Dillingham is interesting. I mean, we talked about Dillingham a few weeks ago. He definitely can. Then he's also Dillingham's a little bit more of a scorer for his point guard. So it's like every player has pros and cons. Topic is well rounded too, but then it's just questions of like, how high is his ceiling too at the same time, and plus he's international play. It's kind of hard to judge as well. So I don't know. Like, is there from your gut? Do you have any gut of who you want? Honestly, I think that's a fair way to assess it.
Alex Sarr, obviously, but if we don't get Alex Sarr, that's just where it gets confusing. Like we were just saying, right? I mean, there's Risa Shea who's like Bilal. They're like the same height and stuff. But then there's also a good point guard in Dillingham. There's also just, but my gut, I want Risa Shea because I watched his highlights. I've seen what he's had potential. He dropped like a 45-point game the other day. I don't know. He's also young. He's also 19 years old. So he also has an opportunity to grow as well. Like Bilal is still growing. I saw that he grew like another inch. He's like 6'8", 6'9" now. So Risa Shea will still grow, and it's just a matter of if we can develop these players right. Like, we can't have them be another bust, especially when we get lucky enough to get the 2nd overall pick. Like, we can't have another Johnny Davis happening. That would be tragic.
No Johnny, no Jan Vesley, no more of that. Yeah, Jan Vesley was an example of us failing the lottery pretty recently, but I don't know. Are you scared that like Winger and Dawkins are going to do something? Because last year, if we're being honest, them picking Bilal was kind of a surprise. Bilal was actually not really even projected to go in the top 10 by a lot of people. Do you see them like doing something really interesting at 10? Like maybe even they reach for like a Matsez Bazelis or something like that. Or I don't know, freaking Dalton Knet goes. That'd be a nightmare feel. But like, can you see Dawkins and Ware ignoring all draft boards and drafting who they like? Because it is about best available. But best available to Winger and Dawkins, they have an interesting eye for who they like based on their time in DC and their time in OKC.
I mean, looking at these guys in this draft, they're all mainly like project players. Like some are from overseas, and they could change how they play as well. So I can't really say what I expect except from like the ones that play here in the States, at least for college. The ones out of state like Topic and Risa Shea and all of them, I don't know what to expect from them, honestly.
I mean, it's been the track record of European players playing well in the NBA has gotten a lot better recently. Like we're out of the days of Andrea Bargnani coming in and failing in the NBA and all that. Jan Vesley, as mentioned earlier. Like for instance, like people were still scared a few years ago, like when Porzingis, like Chingus Bingus, like oh my god, people were scared like another European bust. Stop trying to draft the next Dirk. But now recent years we've had Luka, just all the recent just wave of European success. I mean, if you think about the top players like Giannis, Jokic, they're all Europeans, so the Euro wave is real. So I don't think I'm necessarily concerned with the Euro skill set. Even like let's talk about like Tristan Vucevic. I harped on him for averaging like only 8 points per game or whatever in Sweden. I was like, or maybe it was like 10 or 12 in Sweden. But I was like, if you can only do that in Sweden, then how you could do that in the NBA? But he did average technically 8 points per game last year. While the defense remains an issue, something a Swedish coach yelled at him for. Like offensively, he's as advertised in the NBA, so I'm not too concerned with that. But definitely, like as you mentioned, in general, some players are more big of projects than others. Like Klingon is a ready now player, I believe. Dillingham is fairly ready now, though Dillingham's skill set as a more score first guard kind of overlaps with Poole a little bit. Which isn't, I'm not worried about Poole. It's just I'm worried if he won't develop right when Poole is stuck on the roster for the next few years.
Yeah, like in my head, if I try to imagine Poole being his mentor, I don't know, it just doesn't sound right to me. Like if we had Chris Paul or something, that would have been fine.
I mean, Poole's been Bilal's mentor.
And we saw how that turned out.
I mean, I don't think anything bad. They go to like PSG games together and like soccer games. They like that and stuff. And I appreciate that Poole did like put his locker next to Bilal to make him feel welcome and stuff. But at the same time, also like stuff like you saw. Remember like Bilal telling Pascal Siakam he's like the most overrated player in NBA. And then he was asked it again. He stood on business and he was like, no, I said what I said. He's so predictable, even though he's like dropped 30 on us last year. But do you feel like that's like a Poole effect kind of rubbing off on him?
It could also just be the American effect, honestly. I mean,
we do. I mean, French people are cocky too.
I don't know. Seeing Bilal when he came in this league, he was like a nice little boy.
To be fair, he seemed like a really well behaved guy. But now I'm down for someone to have a little swagger, a little attitude. Every star needs that. But at the same time, also, you can't just be calling out some players overrated, especially when they actually played.
Especially the guy in the Eastern Conference Finals. Well, they just lost, but
they just got swept. But he's still a fine player.
Yeah,
like Spicy P is really good. He's been a Wizards killer for a long time. I remember even rookie Spicy P in the playoffs. He came off the bench and he cooked like Mike Scott from whatever the Wizards.
Mike Scott.
Yeah, the Wizards. That one of those the last John Wall playoff teams the Wizards had. Like Spicy P was cooking the Wizards bench in that first round series that we lost many years, like 2018, I think. And yeah, like you've only been in the league for a year. You gotta have a little humility. Like one, you're on a losing team. Two, okay, Bilal didn't even make all rookie second team.
Yeah, that really I mean, I think he would have if he'd stayed like healthy, but that actually disappointed me a bit.
I don't know. I think Thompson, I would take take him over Bilal if I'm thinking.
Yeah, like I mean, Bilal still made the rookie All-Star game. I don't think Thompson did.
But still, like by the end of the season, even before Bilal, like he left, he went on the injured list for good. He kind of stagnated. Like he stopped driving to the rim. He started just standing in the corner and like he kind of started acting like it scared me. He looked like a glorified Isak Bonga, and that really scared me. And I think the injury might have. I can't laugh, but I think the injury could have maybe been hampering him his last few weeks. I'll give him benefit of the doubt, and also his defense has figured him out and all that. And I'm sure he's really been working hard, and there's no way I don't think he's gonna regress next year. But at the same time, like we've already been getting humbled enough recently. Like the whole Kuzma to all his tweets. We already had the whole "don't be that team" tweet that Kuzma had. I think the new Kuzma tweet meme is just him just talking about him like refusing to be traded to Dallas and because they're not a contender and now Dallas is on the verge of the finals. So I don't know. Maybe Kuzma, don't be a GM when you grow up or not when you retire. Keep making restaurants though. We'll keep visiting them. But yeah, it's just the balance between swagger. I mean, I'm glad like he represented us in the draft lottery and all that. He's trying to build a brand, especially after being snubbed from the all-rookie team. But I think with our next draft pick, they got to be a little better than Bilal. If our next draft pick plays the same as Bilal, I think for the seventh pick, because Bilal was technically the seventh pick that we traded up for, that's fine. But for the second overall pick, you need a little bit more than what Bilal gave.
You need someone who you know who's going to be solid. Like, we put a lot of just faith in Bilal. Like, drafting him, we're like, okay, what's going to happen here? But for the second overall pick, we need someone who's just a solid, who we're confident in, who's ready to play. Not like instantly, but just over time. Because Bilal, I don't know.
Yeah. But this year's draft is just really open-ended as well. Because, like, last year, obviously, Wemby was the clear number one. And then number two was kind of a debate between Scoot and Brandon Miller. Brandon Miller had a decent enough rookie season. Scoot kind of was a little bit of... So, but it definitely shows, like, proper scouting is... Even last year's draft felt more clear-cut. And Scoot ended up... I think Scoot will get better. But it's just his rookie year was a little cause for concern. But I know in DC we would freak out so hard if we have a second overall pick that plays like Scoot. And it's just, I definitely, like, we got the second pick we're making this year is not an easy just nail it kind of pick. Like, there is a high margin of error, and I honestly would, in a draft, like, everyone's like, oh, this draft's so weak, and like, sure, it kind of is, but and for that reason, like, I wouldn't mind trading down. But also, I don't know, do you feel like we can make a package where anyone would want... Is there anybody that would want to trade up? Like, have you seen anything go about that?
I didn't see any rumors about that, mainly. But I've seen rumors of trading Kuzma for some picks. I mean, some late first-round pick. Not like late first-round picks. Maybe
Later.
Like top, like, 15 picks.
I don't know who's...
But
I've seen rumors. I don't know who's going to do that.
yeah, and I've seen rumors of... Dawkins wanting to do it, but I haven't seen any teams interested in actually doing it.
Yeah, like Kuzma is... I like Kuzma. I think we defend Kuzma more than like most Wizards fans, honestly. But at the same time, just he was basically last year. I think he was going to get one Dallas first round pick last year, or the trade deadline, which was only a few months ago. And I don't think much has changed between now and then. Where I don't think there's any team. Even the teams that are desperate for like a larger guy who can score and all that, like, I still don't see them giving up a lottery pick for Kuzma. So as much as I would be willing to move on from Kuzma, if it's not a lottery first, I don't see the need to trade. Or I would honestly even trade him for a pick in the 20s at this point, just because he is honestly not part of the long-term future. You know what I mean? And I do honestly feel like he would at this point. There's too many cooks in the kitchen and too many cooks that are mid in the kitchen, and we gotta trade one of them. Like, we can't keep this whole Corey, Denny, Kuzma pool. Like, there are too many guys that need to touch the ball. They're gonna want to touch the ball, so one of them has to be traded. And Kuz will definitely get the most value, and he's a little older than the rest of them. So even a later first round pick, I'm not sure who's calling, just because you gotta make the money work too. Like, Kuzma, I think he's not a bad contract, but he's not cheap either.
Yeah.
So definitely we'll have a future trade rumor episode. Brandon Ingram, so many weird trade rumors. I don't buy the Ingram one. I don't buy it, but there's been a lot of like random trade rumors for the Wizards the last few months. We'll definitely have a full episode dedicated to that, especially as the trade rumors will get way hotter after the finals. And like right now, I'm sure like Winger is like checking his phone in like Cancun or the Bahamas. But after the finals, he's gonna head back to his office probably. Either in Monumental's headquarters in DC, or maybe probably like some mansion in Bethesda, Maryland, or something. I mean, then he'll be a little more locked in on the phone, calling, I don't know, Danny Ainge on the Celtics, and he'll be like, is Lowry available? I don't know. I saw someone mention Lowry. I'm like, I don't know.
No, thank you.
I like Lowry.
I like him. It's just
I don't want to give up what the Jazz would want for Lowry, because Lowry would be worth a lot. And I'm not in that position to give it. But I don't know. Are you excited for the 26th pick? I'm actually secretly. I think people are sleeping on the 26th pick. Like, I honestly, as much as people say this draft isn't deep, there's a lot of solid college players I've watched this year that I'm honestly kind of excited that we could get in the 20s. Like
Bronny James. Yeah.
Hold off on Bronny. Okay, Bronny.
Give us Bronny.
If we use a 26 pick on Bronny, no.
Nah.
Second round, I'd be willing to use one of our second round picks on Bronny. I'm being serious. Like, not only for because as much value as there's in the second round, we've talked about this. Like, the Wizards need to find more value in the second round. We can't be drafting Yannick and Sosa or Zaytod or Yusuf Sanin. All these second, Cassius Winston, Admiral Schofield. I'm just thinking of all our recent second round picks. None of them are hit. Like, Tristan might be our best second round pick in a while, and I don't know if Tristan's success is guaranteed either. But we've been really bad at second round picks. I think it's secretly the art of building a good team is focusing on the later picks and not just hitting your top picks. And like that's why I said the 26th pick is important. Those second round picks are important. Just like we mentioned, second round last year, G.G. Jackson, Trace Jackson Davis, or even just like even previous years, like Andrew Nemhard just went off in the conference finals. He was a second round pick, so it's really important to hit on your later picks. But is there anyone who you looking for in the 26th? I swear if you don't say Edie.
I was just about to say Edie.
Say Edie. I know you told me before you want Edie at 26.
I want Edie.
Tell me why.
We need him.
Because
that's my reason.
Because
we don't have. Edie can do what Marvin Bagley and Rashad Holmes can't do.
But can he? I know he's tall, but I've watched him
get some buckets for us.
Yeah, but
Rashad can't do that. Bagley, he's on and off. Edie, though. Edie's my guy.
He's a foul merchant. He's the college foul merchant.
Womp womp. So the 76ers have him beat. I don't care. I don't care.
I don't know if Edie's post-up game will translate to the NBA. Edie doesn't shoot much or at all, and I don't know. Like I don't see Gobert fouling him the same way like a random 6'7" center from like Morehead State would foul him in college basketball. Like he's the kind of guy that would dominate in college. I just don't see it translating to the NBA. Like his skill set seems very like Hashim Thabit to me, or what are some other tall centers that have sucked? I almost want to compare him to Simbular. I almost do. That'd be a little disrespectful, I think. But I don't know. It's just Edie could be a really nice little post-up center, but it's just he played like a star in college. He's not gonna be an NBA. I just don't know. I don't know if he can play like a role player. I don't know if he can get used to playing like how a role player should play in the NBA. And just that's why I'm kind of concerned about Edie.
I mean, I think he can. So.
What are you gonna do when Luka Garza gets 20 rebounds against us because of Edie?
Can he not grab rebounds?
He can, but
then there you go.
I just feel like he's gonna get something about his fundamental. He's gonna get boxed out by Luka Garza's of the world or somehow. What are you gonna do when Drummond gets 40 rebounds against us?
Drummond is not gonna get 40 rebounds against us. He might. He might.
He'll get 20 at least.
Whoa. Well, who do you think then?
Give me Carlton Carrington. He's been rising up the draft board recently. Played for Pitt last season. I mean, he's a point guard. We need a point guard. If we don't draft a point guard at number 2,
yeah,
he could definitely slot in there. And whether or not we can maybe Tyus could mentor him or something, and they can have a nice little punch there with Tyus. And I don't know, Poole plays well. We'll figure out what Poole needs to do later down the line. But I like Carlton Carrington. He can score. He can pass. He's honestly like, in a way, like Halliburton light skill set of both scoring and passing. So I really like Carlton Carrington at the 26th spot. He's been rising enough where he honestly might go ahead of 26, which is a little scary. Besides that, I like Missy. I know it's like Yves. I don't know Ines. I think it's Ines Missy. Played for Baylor last year. Baylor had a really good season last year, and he's a center. Yeah, and talking about centers, give me Missy over Zach Edey any other day. Like I feel like Missy is more athletic. It's just more actual NBA skill set besides being tall. So give me Missy over Edey. But those are just kind of the guys that I like in the 20 range. Just give me Ryan Dunn from UVA even. I don't know. Like I kind of like the whole UVA like coaching style they got there. Like the whole defensive first. Like I know he's a forward. I think he would slot pretty well into the whole Wizard system. But any other names? I know you're pulling up your master sheet on your phone right now.
The Ringer says Bobby Klintman from Karen's Taipans that we beat earlier.
Yeah, remember a huge preseason win this year against the Taipei? No more NBL guy. We had Xavier Cooks. I'm done with the NBL.
Xavier Cooks.
Xavier Cooks. I'm done with Aussies. Well, I'm sorry, I'm not done with Aussies. I'm just done with drafting guys straight from like that league after we drafted their MVP and he didn't do nothing for us. Bro's not even in the league anymore. We were the only team that wanted him in the league.
Logically, it made sense drafting the the Aussie League MVP, but he did nothing.
Yeah.
Him and Jay Huff, they were so funny. Just both of them on the same team together. That little era, that little time.
That little end of season time where Zay talked about 40 minutes, that was funny. I've been seeing Justin Edwards from Kentucky get a lot of mentions recently. And I mean, if Kentucky is an NBA factory, so I'm not opposed to Justin Edwards either. He kind of reminds me of Ryan Dunn from UVA, just kind of a forward who can a little bit of everything. I think Carlton Carrington is a sexier, just one that just point guard I feel like is. I know I said don't draft by need, but just from the skill set, a point guard or center would honestly make a bigger impact on this team than the glut of forwards that we do have. And I feel like just at the end of the day, like a Justin Edwards kind of type would just kind of fit in as just a kind of another forward. Kind of he would hang out with Shen Penny and Denny and kind of all act the same. They would all get like 7 to 13 points per game, which isn't bad. Honestly, from that draft pick ain't bad. Like I said, even from that draft pick, draft based on best available. But at the same time, Yves Missy or just character, those picks excite me a lot.
Yeah, I mean the 26th pick is gonna be based on what we pick on like the second pick. So,
I do think I don't think they're not gonna draft two centers.
Yeah,
or two
so
point
if
guards.
you get a point guard, draft a center. If you draft a
or
center,
would they? Or would they? I can say you don't know this team.
I don't know Winger and Dawkins enough. They haven't made enough moves for me to judge them because they barely did anything in the offseason.
I mean, I don't see them drafting two centers just because of how small our team has been. And honestly, how small OKC was until Chet. I don't know. I mean, they had Steven Adams for a bit, but in between that, like, I feel like Winger and Dawkins like small ball. There's something about that. And agree to disagree. I mean, small ball can work. The Warriors have made it work, but not everyone.
We're not the Warriors.
Yeah. But
we just need a foundation, really.
I can see them going balls to the walls and just getting 2 point guards for no reason, just because they're like most available.
I don't know. Maybe they'll go by your strategy. Maybe they'll go by their own strategy.
And we've seen teams draft multiple players in back-to-back years, or just sometimes teams just ignore need. Like, do you remember the process 76ers? They drafted like back-to-back. They got like Jahlil Okafor and Nerlens Noel and Embiid, and Embiid ended up being the only good center out of those three. But everyone was scratching their heads, dude. Like, you already have so many centers in your roster. Why are you drafting another one? And it's just, I don't know. NBA GMs can sometimes, I mean, they're supposed to be smarter than the average. Like, oh, I'm on my couch doing my podcast kind of person like us. But, like, they do scratch their heads. And sometimes they try to make us think they're a genius with their head-scratching moves. And sometimes they're right. But sometimes I legitimately think the head-scratching moves are just dumb. Like, you do not need to draft Jahlil Okafor and still want to beat 3 years in a row. I'm sorry, the process Sixers. That's why you're stuck as a first-round team right now. I'm sorry. Fight me, Sixers fans.
Going back to what you said about Dawkins liking small ball, I just remember something. I watched a little interview Shams did with was it with Winger or Dawkins? It was with,
I think it was with Dawkins.
Yeah, with Dawkins. I think I remember him saying something on the lines of "I like small ball basketball." No, I don't know, I just remembered about that. No, so
I definitely think it's not like they will never draft a big man, but I think they would prefer a nice little athletic Mr. Risache at 2 than a big old clinging man at 2. So,
and then we could always just make a trade for a center later in the season. So
we're just gonna get another Bagley.
We can get Walker Kessler. We're not getting Walker Kessler.
That'd be awesome. No, we're not getting him.
I would love that, but I don't know. That was the first guy that came to my mind. But if they actually do end up drafting 2 point guards, that seems like our only option.
There's a scary thought. Opening day, they roll Tristan Vucevic as our starting 5. Legit, I can see that. Either Vucevic and Bagley, they roll them out as our primary 5 rotation. and then we get rebounded every game again. Like I don't think Wig and Dockers learned from last year at all. Like I actually don't think. And like I think they're good GMs and they know what they're doing, but it's just they can't act surprised. Like I'm hearing a lot of interviews. Wing and Dawkins, like they've been acting kind of surprised that we were this bad. Like, oh, like we were playing for the future.
Yeah, no, whenever someone mentions that we're bad, they kind of like laugh it off. They're like, oh, yeah, that's true.
Well, it's not even that. Like, no, but they act surprised too, because they're like, we actually expected to be a little more competitive this year.
Oh, yeah, that as well.
Like they act like we were trying to tank, but not this hard. Like that's like a summarization.
Yeah, that's what makes me question them. Like I don't know them that well yet.
Like exactly. So like when you're in Dawkins, like. I feel like they're trying. Some of their stuff they do is head scratching. It makes sense, but it's also head scratching. And I feel like they're trying to be like so out of the box thinking. It kind of reminds me of a little bit of like the Process Sixers, how Sam Hinkie used to be as their GM, or even like Danny Ainge in Boston. I remember he made some crazy moves, and in the moment it's like what, and it kind of works out usually, but it just I still believe in them. It's too early to doubt them, but it's just we're tanking. But just I don't know, like there's nothing wrong with having a big center. I think every Wizards fan we just want a center. And yeah, I feel like that's a pretty conclusion of our draft talk for both the second and 26th overall pick. The second round pick is really important too, but then it's a real crapshoot guessing what teams want to do once it gets to the late second round. Overall goal is just to not draft another Zay Todd type player or Yannick and Sosa or Yusuf Sanin, just someone that can actually bring value, and especially looking at like recent teams, like that teams that have drafted a G.G. Jackson or Trace Jackson Davis, or even the conference finals, Andrew Nembhard was a second round pick. He's been balling out. Jalen Brunson, the Knicks, was a second round pick. He's been balling out in these playoffs. Limited now, but still, like good teams find value not just in the lottery, but also in the late first round, second round pick. And so I think it definitely is really good for the Wizards to really hone in on their late first and hopefully their second round pick as well. And plus, also, we just don't have many roster spots. I mean, like who we kept re-signing like Amaru,
Landry Shamet.
Well, like everyone is still under contract. There's too many different guys under contract. And I mean, obviously, we could still waive guys in the preseason next year. Like, I know if we waive Amaru, it's not going to hurt our salary cap and all that. But still, like, we have so few open roster spots if we don't make a trade that, honestly, our roster moves this offseason kind of seem limited to either doing a trade or two to free up roster space or just through the draft. And, like, we have cap. We just have too many guys under contract. So either some kind of Baldwin or Butler or someone has to go. That's a conversation for another time, but... yeah, I feel like that's a pretty good draft analysis. Anything else you want to add about the second round or Bronny James thoughts or anything?
I mean, you pretty much covered it all.
You want to talk about Bronny?
Not really. Wait.
Do we talk about Bronny? We didn't talk about Bronny that much.
Wait. Did we talk about Bronny?
We can say it again. Do you want him?
Yeah, I want Bronny.
Do you want LeBron to come with him? LeBron's kind of changed his tune on that. Because he used to be like, oh, I want to play on the same team as my son. And now he's like, I just want to play on the same court with against him. So getting LeBron, I think, doesn't necessarily mean that LeBron will come on your team now. But, for the publicity, I'm not fully opposed to him. He's been balling on the combine, so sure, why not? But, yeah, that's a pretty good draft analysis. Now, before we go, I just have a random fun hypothetical I thought of. In your basement while waiting for you to get water or something. But yeah, just what Wizards era would you most want to be a podcaster in?
Mainly the John Wall era for sure, because I wasn't a Wizards fan until like late Beal era, like super late Beal. And watching back on like John Wall highlights and clips on his Dougie, I'm like, I definitely missed out on all that. So
this camera's not tall enough for me to Dougie, but if you listen to the audio on Spotify, I just Dougie'd IRL. So that's what you missed out on. Wall's a really good one. I remember a lot of childhood memories, and definitely would have been fun to be a podcaster during like the Wizards vs Celtics second round series, all that stuff. Even though the team still was a 40-win team during that era, still super fun. Just I think definitely like they started getting more relevant toward 2013. So let's say 2013 to 18. That's like right up to the end of like right before his final ACL tear. Like was the nail in the coffin while his short career. That would definitely be a fun era. Obviously, I feel like the Agent Zero era would be also be a really good answer. Just because speak of the devil, LeBron again. I mean that those rivalries they had with the Cavs. They always lost the Cavs in the playoffs. But those rivalries they had, the whole Jay-Z versus Soulja Boy thing. Do the stanky legs, stank, Superman.
Yep, just Superman.
Did he make any
Not
other
break your
songs?
life. I don't know. I don't listen to Soulja Boy.
So you're not a millennial. Yeah, I feel like Soulja Boy is not a Gen Z thing at all.
Definitely
He's
not.
not. Like I remember him. Like I remember like the whole like stanky leg song was on a few kids bops, but yeah, Soulja Boy is not our era. But still, I feel like that'd be kind of fun to see Soulja Boy cheer for the Wizards. That's like what celebrities cheer for the Wizards these days. I think like Scott Van Pelt, if you watch Sports Center late at night. I know he's a DC fan. Can't think of many other famous Wizards celebrities though.
I actually can't.
Oh, is Wolf Blitzer a Wizards fan? I know he's like a Nats fan. You don't watch CNN?
No.
I don't like CNN either. Let's not get political. Because I feel like I've been saying this too much on the podcast recently. Let's not get political. I mean, speaking of political, I mean, the Capital One Arena was ranked in like the top 10 most dangerous arenas recently. Did you see that list?
I did not see that list.
I mean, I don't know. Gallery Place isn't like... It's not the worst area in the world. Like, I feel like as long as you... I wouldn't go alone at like 1 a.m., but like you can go to like the little 90-second pizza place at like midnight with your friends and get a really good piece of pizza for 90 seconds.
I recommend their margarita pizza. That was really good.
Yeah. You can go there. If you go there with your friends, I don't think you're not going to get shot if you go there. Like, definitely, like, it's not... It's weird, because Gallery Place is like an area that was gentrified 20 years ago, and it's slowly getting ungentrified just because people are filing in from other areas of DC. Like, let's not get political, but point is, like, Capital One really could use some renovations and just kind of better food and all that. Speaking of Capital One Arena, I mean, we're going to be at the draft party. And
June 26th.
Yeah, so we're not famous enough for doing meet and greet, but if there's any of you...
If anyone's watching and you see us, it'll be cool if you come up to us and say hi.
If we see Brandon Scott of Lockdown, we'll probably say hi to them.
Maybe collab with the other podcasters out there. Pretty fun.
Yeah,
fun night, for sure.
Yeah, it'll be cool, especially because like we have a reason to stay in the beginning, the second pick, and then also a reason to stay at the end, the 26th pick. And the draft is split into 2 days this year between the first and second round. That's a change. And the second round is going to be kind of just for sickos. That's the only people are going to watch. We're probably going to watch that from home. But the first round, we'll be there at Capital One Arena for the draft party. Yeah, super fun. I don't know, do you see yourself getting like a draft day? Is concessions going to be open? Like
concessions will be open. They're giving out free popcorn and free soda. Free.
Soda.
Mm-hmm.
You're like a Mr. Pibb.
But you still have to pay for like actual food at the concourse, obviously. They're not just going to hand that out to you.
Which to be fair, our $12 hamburgers aren't that good. The chicken tendies.
Yeah, they got to upgrade their food.
100%. Like, I know we got good chefs in the Hennessy Lounge. Like, can that go into the other sections of the arena, please? I think they'll definitely help Capital. Not only does a few stadium renovations, like the whole new stadium thing was overblown, but just like a few renovations, better food, Capital One Arena will rise the ranks of stadiums. But yeah, definitely draft party will be fun. And yeah, that was a fun episode doing the whole IRL thing. It turns out there's still technical difficulties when you do it IRL too. Like we always have issues when we record through our like Zoom and stuff, but there's technical issues to figure out in IRL too. But it was fun to be here and just punch you. Yeah, I can get mad at you in person, like when you glaze Corey. You didn't glaze Corey.
I held myself together, guys.
First episode, you didn't glaze Corey Kisser.
It was tough. It was really tough.
Say something nice. Go ahead. You can do it.
I love you, Corey.
Can't play defense.
I love Corey.
Well, yeah, that's a wrap on a fun episode, and yeah, definitely the off season. We're definitely still, still not as busy as we were during the school year in college, but I still got jobs and stuff, so still definitely busy during college. But definitely we're gonna have, especially now once the finals and the NBA, not college finals, once homework final. Once the NBA. My brain is still dizzy from college finals. Once the NBA finals are over. The NBA rumor mill is going to get a lot more busy. Winger and Dawkins are going to leave their places in Cancun. They'll be back in the DMV, either working at the monumental offices in DC or maybe their mansion in Bethesda, Maryland or something like that. But the rumors will get hotter. all that. So we'll cover all the different trade rumors, free agency rumors, all that. And then if we get close to the draft, probably there'll be some more random rumblings that Bozelius is going to somehow end up in DC. Please don't. But stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's going to be a fun. I love the offseason. So
Yeah, it'll be a fun off season for sure.
but yeah, anything else you want to add to this episode?
I got nothing.
All right. Some good food your mom brought us. Look at this. This is the perk of IRL. Like, what's
Some
hot?
little snacks.
What are these?
I don't know.
It tastes good though. I love eating on this podcast.
Third time eating on this podcast. At least for him. For me, only one time. Wait, no, it's your second. Wait, no, it's your third time.
Also, hot sauce challenge coming up. I'm trying to track this pepper. It's called Pepper X. It's really hard to buy. I might actually grow it myself, but Raj lost our challenge. We had to guess whoever's closer to the Wizards win-loss record. And the person who's farther away has to eat a spicy thing. I might grow some special peppers, but that'll come out sometime this offseason. He will do the pepper payoff. So I gotta find me some Pepper X, but it's on the way. But that's delicious. But yeah, is that a wrap for this episode?
That is a wrap for today's episode.
All right, well, let's get into form. All right, everybody, keep on shooting those
DC threes.
Jacoby Walter.